All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that's frankly keeping a lot of leaders up at night: AI governance. But here's the thing, we're not going to treat this like some boring technical checklist. No, we're going to look at it for what it really is: a massive leadership challenge.
So, I want you to think about this for a second. Your company's AI strategy, is it built on solid rock? Or is it maybe, just maybe, built on sand? Just waiting for the first big wave to come and wash it all away. Because honestly, that's what we're talking about here. The stakes are that high.
And look, let's get one thing straight right from the get-go, because this is the foundation for everything else. Without a real governance framework, that shiny, expensive AI you're investing in, it's not just an asset you might lose. It's an active liability, a ticking time bomb on your balance sheet. This isn't some nice-to-have optional feature. It's absolutely essential if you want to survive, let alone succeed. So the key here is to completely flip the script on how we think about governance. Seriously, this isn't about creating more red tape or some defensive chore for your teams to groan about. It's about building a powerful, strategic asset. When you get this right, governance actually builds trust, it lets you innovate faster and safer, and yeah, it becomes a genuine competitive advantage. But getting there isn't a walk in the park. Leaders have to run what we're calling the gauntlet. Think of it as a series of 6 super common hurdles that can absolutely derail any AI project. So let's break them down one by one. Okay, hurdle number 1, the buy-in gap. Oh man, this is a classic. This is when the folks in the C-suite see governance as just a cost, a compliance headache, just another box to tick. And what happens? Well, the project gets starved for cash, you don't have the right people on it, and the communication is so bad that nobody even knows why it's important. The whole thing is basically set up to fail right from the start. Then you've got hurdle 2, the culture clash. This is what happens down in the trenches. Your employees are pushing back. Maybe they're scared for their jobs, maybe they just don't get the tech. But here's the kicker. This lack of AI literacy, it often goes all the way up to the executive suite. And if the leaders don't get it, how can they possibly provide effective oversight? They can't. All right, on to number 3, the silo stalemate. You've seen this before, I'm sure. AI development is just scattered all over the place. Data science is doing their thing over here, IT's over there, and the legal team is just trying to play catch up. There's no clear owner, no one person in charge. The result? It's just chaos. You get inconsistencies, people doing the same work twice, and here's the big one, when an AI messes up, and it will, there's a huge accountability gap. Who's responsible? Nobody knows.
Next up, the innovation paradox, and this is a tension that every single leader is feeling right now. The pressure is on to innovate, move fast, break things, right? But you also know you need some guardrails. The real danger here is you end up with a framework that's either so tight it just strangles all creativity, or it's so loose that you're just inviting disaster. It's a really, really tough tightrope to walk. And that brings us perfectly to the pace problem, which is just relentless. I mean, the tech itself is changing by the day. New models, new capabilities, and at the same time, you've got this wild patchwork of regulations popping up all over the world. So how on earth is your static, once-a-year governance plan supposed to keep up? It can't. You end up with an outdated model that leaves you exposed both legally and to whatever new tech is just around the corner.
And the final hurdle, number 6, is the black box dilemma. This is a big one. A lot of the most powerful AI models today are, well, they're opaque, a black box. We can see the data that goes in and the answer that comes out, but what happens in the middle is a total mystery. And that has a huge consequence. If you can't explain the why behind a decision, you can forget about transparency. You can't have real accountability, and there is no way you can build trust. Not with your customers, not with regulators, not even with your own people. Okay, so that was the gauntlet. A little daunting, right? But here's the good news. These hurdles, they are absolutely navigable. It just takes leaders who are willing to build a very specific set of skills. So enough about the problems. Let's pivot to the solutions and open up what we're calling the Essential Leadership Toolkit. This toolkit, it's really built on 4 core pillars. And these aren't just empty buzzwords, I promise. These are real, actionable skills that, when you put them together, form the foundation for great AI leadership. So let's get into them. First up, ethical and visionary leadership. This is all about the why. It's about taking governance off of a shelf where it's just some dusty policy document and making it a living, breathing mission for the company. The leader's job here is to define and then constantly champion those core principles, Things like fairness, transparency, and accountability.
Pillar number 2, collaboration and communication. This is how you smash those silos we talked about earlier. The leader has to be the bridge, the translator. They have to be able to take these super complex AI concepts from the data scientists and explain them in plain English to the business folks, the legal team, HR, everyone. You've got to get everyone in the same room, talking the same language.
Okay, third pillar is technical and risk expertise. Now, hold on. This does not mean your CEO needs to become a Python coder overnight, but they do need to get the fundamentals. They need to be the one banging the drum for things like data quality, putting real risk frameworks in place, like the one from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is basically a great playbook for this stuff. And they need to push for investment in what's called explainable AI or XAI. These are just tools and techniques that help us peek inside that black box and understand how these things are thinking.
And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar, change management and agility. Let's be real, the world of AI is never, ever going to stand still, so your governance can't either. This is about creating a culture where people are always learning. It's about taking a practical, step-by-step approach. Start small, get some wins, and then adapt as you go. It's all about that balancing act between moving fast and having solid ethical processes.
So there you have it, the 4 skills in our toolkit. But these skills are so much more powerful when they're guided by a certain mindset. Think of it like a master key that unlocks the full potential of everything we've just talked about. This is a concept called spiritual intelligence. And right away, let me be clear. When we say spiritual intelligence, we are not talking about religion. Not at all. In this context, it's about your ability as a leader to operate from a place of deeper purpose, of real empathy, of understanding how everything is connected. It's the thing that lifts you from just being a manager checking boxes to a leader who is genuinely inspiring a culture of responsible AI. It makes the work a truly human-centered mission.
And this is where the rubber really meets the road. Look at the difference this mindset makes. Take cultural resistance. The typical response? Mandate more training. Ugh. But the SQ-driven response? You lead with compassion. You frame AI as a tool that's going to make your people's jobs better. Or how about that innovation versus control problem? Instead of rigid, one-size-fits-all rules, you practice mindful innovation. You actually pause to think about the long-term impact. And with the black box problem, you go way beyond just technical compliance. You act with humility, and you make transparency a moral commitment, because that's how you earn trust. So, where does that leave us? We've run the gauntlet, we've opened up the toolkit, and we've found the master key. The question now is, how do we put all of this into practice?
When it comes right down to it, every leader is standing at a crossroads with 2 very different paths ahead. Down one path, AI governance is just a roadblock. It's a bureaucratic nightmare, a cost center that everyone complains about. But down the other path, it's a compass. It's your strategic guide that actually builds trust, lets you innovate safely, and in the end creates a real, lasting competitive advantage. So I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. When it comes to AI, are you just leading a technical shift in your organization, or are you leading a profoundly human one? Because how you answer that question, well, that's going to define everything.